You ready?
Yeah, let's do this. Hello, everybody. We are back with another episode of the Greatness Podcast. Bree Milani here with Sky Insurance Brokers. And today I'm really excited to have on somebody that I've known for quite a few years. And her daughter actually forced her, said, I think my mom needs to come on. And I'm like, and it's funny because you're not like a way out there like kind of person. So I'm like, I don't know if she'd be interested in doing it. But here you are. You're here. Karen Dunn with Big Valley Mortgage. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited because I know you, but every time I'm in Elk Grove, I come to see you and I never can track you down. So I'm like, I haven't had a chance to like sit down and chat with you in a while.
I'm the elusive.
I know. Well, every time I come in, they're like, she's downstairs. And I'm like, okay, so I'll go down there really quick. And they're like, oh, I think she's talking. And I'm like, forget it. She's too busy. In a good way though, right?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Well, tell us a little bit about you. I know about you and your kids and your husband and dog and what I just learned, cats. So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been in the industry now for 28 years.
Oh.
Yeah, long time. We moved to Elk Grove back in 1994, and when my husband and I got married, and we have two kids. They're 24 and 22.
You're old.
I'm like, how old?
One's sitting right here, so no pressure.
I know, exactly. She's cueing me over there.
She's like 22.
Yeah, but Katie lives, just bought a condo here in Elk Grove, lives close by. My son moved to Washington, D.C. a few months ago and is working in a lobbying firm. So
wow. And he graduated last year or the year before? In June. Okay.
Just in June. He graduated
wow.
from UCSB in June and moved out in August down to Washington, D.C. without a job. And he got, now he's working as a server and at a lobbying firm. So.
Oh my gosh. Good for him. I mean, that's definitely taking a leap of faith and hoping for the best. Good for him.
Exactly.
And he's home for the holidays.
He is home for the holidays. He just came home last night. So we'll have our whole family together.
Oh,
so
that's so
nice.
awesome. The one thing I love about watching you guys on social media is like how close-knit you guys all are, which is so awesome because I always hope I have little kids. I'm like, I hope when they're older, like my mom and I are really close. I hope that they stay close and they come home for Christmas and stuff. But that must be kind of hard, though. You have one here and then one far away. That would be hard. You're like, well.
It is, but, she makes it worthwhile. She's here all the time, so.
She makes up for it, right?
Exactly.
And now your husband, what does he do for work? I remember talking, like, he was, like, traveling and stuff like that.
He did. He was working for the state, and now he just started a new job with community college districts. But basically, he works on apprenticeship programs throughout the state. So he helps set them up with the community colleges so that kids that don't want a college degree necessarily can get into trades of some sort. And actually, Katie's working in a similar industry right now with apprenticeships.
When you were saying that, I was like, wait, I was just talking to Katie about this.
Yeah.
Sounds very similar.
Exactly.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Because I remember the last time we talked, you were saying he's kind of all over the place, and you guys just bought a new to you home in Elk Grove.
Correct.
So you're like, no, we're staying here.
Yes.
This is it. You just renovated the whole thing. You said couple months.
Yeah, 2.5 to 3 month process, but it's done. So.
I need to see before and after pictures.
I know.
I don't think those have been posted yet.
No, not yet. We haven't fully decorated and put up all the artwork and
maybe
everything.
after holidays.
Exactly.
Yeah, after all that's out of the way.
We figure once we do that, then we'll post before and after.
Okay, I can't wait. That's like my favorite thing ever. Sometimes I'm like, I wish I was more into this kind of job, like real estate, where you get to like see the before and after, because it always amazes me. Especially when you're like, we knocked out walls. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to look like a whole different house.
It is. People walk in that had seen it before, and they're like, oh, mind blown.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. Okay, make sure you post it. So now with work, I mean, we were just talking. I've been in this industry, I think 9-ish, almost 10 years. And I saw on your Facebook, you've been with Big Valley for 9 years.
Yes.
So that's incredible. You don't hear that very often in this industry. Usually it's like a year here, 2 years there. So obviously there's something you love about Big Valley that has kept you here for 9 years. That's pretty incredible.
Absolutely. The management here, they're in tune with the loan officers, and it doesn't matter, you could be the lowest producing loan officer to the highest producing loan officer, and the management just really cares for each and every one of us. So that just kind of comes through with how they get us our loans through and everything. So
yeah, which is huge. And I know you have a team behind you that, that we work with that
yes.
helps you get your loans through and everything. You've worked with Becky now for quite some years, many years.
She's been with me 8 of the 9 years.
Gosh, that's incredible. Again, something you don't see very often.
Right.
I think in this industry, it's very easy for people to, see the, I would say, dollar signs, and that's accurate, but for lack of a better term, it is. And they get recruited to the next place, and then they split teams and all that. So it's pretty cool to see when people have been there for a long time. I've interviewed a few other people who have been in the same company for all these years, and they all kind of said the same thing. It's like when you have that support and you're able to do your job well,
right.
why leave? You know, and the support is what really matters.
Yeah.
And now you have a partnership, I think is what you guys call it, correct? Downstairs with Keller Williams.
Correct.
So a lot of your business, you work with agents, obviously, is where you get most of your business from.
Correct, yes, yeah. I've been kind of embedded in that office within Keller Williams since 2005, so wow. I have some history there. I've gone through quite a few team leads, and yeah. I know where all the skeletons are hidden.
You know the ins and outs of that place.
Exactly, but they're a second family to me. I spend most of my days down there because I'm there as a resource for the agents. Whether they use me or not, if they have a loan question, they can always come to me.
Which is so nice, because that's what I was saying before when I'm trying to find you. They're like, she's downstairs somewhere, which is, in this office. She's right downstairs in Keller Williams, which is so nice because, a lot of people in the last, what would you say, 2 years, we've had this incredible refinance boom. And a lot of people have kind of left the agent space because they've been so overwhelmed with the refinances. And it seems like you've really been consistent and stuck with it. Because, since 2005, why wouldn't you, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's a relationship that I've, definitely cherished over the years. I truly respect and enjoy being with the agents down there.
Yeah, and I know Keller Williams, like just from what I, as an outsider looking in, it's like they have some agents like yourself who've been there for so many years. And it's like they believe in that culture, and, and it is an incredible culture. I've had the opportunity to speak there a few times and go in and meet some of the agents, and just even each Keller Williams is like such a good culture. So it's refreshing to see like a good partnership work out for as long as that's a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do work with outside agents, not just the Keller Williams. I have a really good relationship with Coldwell Banker, a lot of agents over there. So I definitely, branch out and get out. But, just because we do have the partnership with Keller Williams, that's my, where I spend a lot of my time. But I do like to get out and about as well.
Yeah, you're local here in Elk Grove. Mm-hmm. So a lot of that is, like what you said, you branch out, you meet so many different people. And really Elk Grove, in my opinion, and maybe you can go on this, is that it's kind of a tight-knit community.
Very much
I know
so.
When I first started, it was like, you're not from here? And I'm like, no. They're like, oh.
You're up in that Roseville place. That's 45 minutes away. Oh, my goodness.
I cannot do business with you. But really, it was like there's certain areas that are kind of like that. So, okay, you've been in the industry now 28 years, you said. If you could go back and say you were brand new, like what was, because that to me would be like something, if I could tell myself, is like, don't be intimidated by that, because you could work your way into getting to know people and working with them and building those relationships. But if you could go back 28 years ago, what would you have told yourself? Like what you know now that you would have told yourself then?
The only thing that I would say that boundaries.
Oh, that's good.
Boundaries. Just because I've always been, my business has been my life, and I internalize it. If something's going wrong with a file, I'll be up all night and thinking about it and stressing about it. And yes, this is one of the people's largest investments of their life, and I have to take that very, very seriously. But at the end of the day, I can only do what I can do.
Right.
And I can try my hardest, and if it's just not gonna, if that's not gonna fit in the square's not gonna fit in the round hole, I have to say, oh, I'm sorry, we can't help you there, and move on. Yes, you always have to think outside the box to try and make everything work, but sometimes there's, and it just would always just eat me up inside whenever I couldn't. And, I remember back when I was first starting, going into a manager at Sierra Pacific Mortgage bawling because I'm like, these people deserve the house. You don't understand.
Like, I swear they do. And they're like, there's nothing we can do.
I know. They're like, guidelines. And I'm like, I know, but, and so I, just not internalize things as much and just, set my boundaries. This is my work life. This is my home life. That's a big thing.
That is true. I would say like 9 years ago, I didn't have kids when I started in this. And I know me as a worker 9 years ago versus me now with 2 children, it's really been having to set boundaries and things that I never thought I would have to say no to. I have to, because I can't get up and out of the door at 7 a.m. to go to all these meetings. I used to go to the same meeting every single Thursday and I have to be out of my house at 7. I'm like, there's just no way.
Right.
Like, I want to see my children in the morning. I want to make them breakfast. I want to get up and like start their day off right. And sometimes that requires me to be out the door at 8, not 7.
Right.
So I would definitely agree with that. And I think a lot of people when they get in this industry don't set those boundaries because we're taught like just get the business. And so you get so wrapped up in that it's like, okay, wait, I need to like take a step back.
Right.
What's important here?
Right.
Because I mean, if you started when you're 28 years ago, that was before you had kids.
Yeah.
So you raised 2 kids in this industry. That had to have been fun.
Yes, yeah. And for the, probably the first 10 years, I worked predominantly at home.
Oh, that's good.
And so, I mean, my kids hardly went to daycare. I mean, they came to my appointments with me. They came to all of my signings.
So cool.
They, it was, that was my life. It's like, that's my priority is my kids. Yes, they're being dragged along, but
Sure, they might have a tantrum or two.
Yes,
but here they are.
and I did a lot of my appointments at night, type of thing, so that way my husband would be home to watch the kids, and I can, but I was still the one taking them to school and picking them up, and then I'd get them set up with their homework, and I'd go back into my office, and they knew they had their boundaries. Also, it's like mom's on the phone.
Yeah, mom's
if you
working.
need to write something down if you need to communicate, but they've grown up with that, and they know
how that is. And that's what I do with my daughter too. My son's too little, but sometimes I'm like, I got to take this call like right before I'm taking them to grandma's. And I'm like, Kennedy, shh, do not say a single thing. And she's like, okay. So I'll like go lock myself in a corner. I'm like, hello? Act like nothing. It's all fine. Everything's good here. But it's part of, being a working parent in this industry. And I will say, I mean, you could probably relate to this, is like, this is a great industry to be a working parent. And because as long as you're doing your job and you're coming to work every day, you could still have that and be a great parent as well, which I think is what brings a lot of people into this industry.
Yeah.
Is that flexibility of being able to. But I've learned quickly that it's like you have to still hold yourself accountable, because with flexibility comes a lot of freedom, and it's like, no, you still have to set those boundaries. Like, no, mommy cannot just sit on the couch with you all day and watch Coco Melon. That's just not how it goes. As much as I would love to. That's good advice, though. It is, because I think a lot of people that are new in this industry just go. I mean, we've seen it all. And you go, and you burn out.
And when you're brand new, you feel like you have to, because you have to prove yourself. And so, that is something that, yes, you do have a little bit more. You do have to do a little bit more when you're first starting. Right. My husband used to talk about moving, throughout the years, and I'm like, I'm not starting over.
Yeah.
I put in all that hard work at the beginning, and that's when you really have to just dig in there just to get into the offices, to get the agents, to get your name recognition. I'm like, no.
It's not worth it. If you move somewhere, then that's all gone, and you have to really start over. I know my husband and I have had that conversation of like, we have 2 young kids. It's a lot to manage, and he works a lot as well. And he's like, well, maybe you just stay home for a couple years. And I'm like, heck no. I have put in so much blood, sweat, and tears into this business, and I love it. And I tell him all the time, I'm like, it makes me a better mom working. I love my children, but being home with them, oh my gosh, no way. I could do it for like a day or 2, but other than that, absolutely not. But really, it's like if you stepped out for a year or 2, you're starting from zero again. And I'm like, I am not doing that. So I get where you're coming from. And I know a lot of people now are like, we're moving. And I'm like, yeah, I would never, not right now. There's just no way. I mean, you put in all that effort, just not worth it.
Yeah, I know. After my son was born, my husband took a year off and stayed home with the kids.
That's nice, though.
Yeah. So, but by the end of that year, he's like, I need to get back to work.
Especially when they're young. Like when people are like stay-at-home parents when their kids are older, I'm like, I don't feel like that's as hard. But when your kids are little, being home with them, even like my husband will go out of town for the weekend, and I'm with 2 kids by myself, and I'm like, there's no way I would want to do this 5 days a week. Like, I would need my kids to be like in school, and then I'll be like, okay, I'll stay home. That sounds good. Literally 7 hours just to yourself.
Exactly.
What would you do? So that's definitely where I'm at too. I'm like, there's just no way. You've put in all that effort. You've done what made your really made your name in this industry, and a good name for that matter. So you wouldn't want to let that go.
Right.
So now we've said, you've been in the industry 28 years. Like, what's something, because I mean, 28 years of being, like, you're very successful. You've done, I see you go on top producer trips. You've done really well in this industry. What's something that you feel like just sets you apart from, I mean, obviously you have LOs in here that are great, but I mean, the competition is crazy,
right?
Especially in Elk Grove. Like I said, it's such a tight knit community. What's something that you think or a few things that you think that has really set you apart?
I've always built relationships with people that I respect and care about, and just to be honest, that I like to hang out with. So the people that probably give me the most business are personal friends that I enjoy hanging out with. I've was always told, oh, you have to go after the top producer over at that office. You have to get their business, and it's like, if I like them, I will.
Yeah, but if I don't,
but I've just always preferred working with people that I like and respect.
Yeah.
Versus just going after every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there that's doing real estate.
Right.
I just that way I'm more invested in it, and I enjoy more so the people that they're bringing into the business.
Right.
That they're referring to me because it's people that are like them.
Right.
So I just working with like-minded people.
Yeah.
And building the relationships and nurturing those relationships really sets me apart. And I just really care for the clients. I want to make sure that each deal is catered to them and to them only.
Yeah. Which, I mean, going back to working with people that you want to be, is like, there's that saying that's like, surround yourself with the people you want to be like. And that speaks true. Because I feel the same way, where it's like, when I think about it, I look at my clients, actually my boss and I he's like, you interview a lot of women. And I'm like, I think that's just because it's in my nature. I feel like, I don't know why. It's just like I gravitate towards people who I feel I can relate to. Moms, especially, people that I'm like, how'd you do this? Like, now you've had 2 kids, and it's amazing, like, when you actually surround yourself with the people that, you either want to be like or that you admire.
Right.
And it makes your job easy. It's like, it makes your job fun. You're not having like dread going to work every day.
Right.
That's huge. I mean, that definitely is something that could set you apart, and you genuinely enjoy doing it. And
yes, exactly.
So important.
And that, that speaks to the, being in this business for so long.
Right.
Is, I enjoy it. I mean, yes, I have those days when it's like, why? What am I doing here? What else can I do? But, then you get your next one, your first time home buyer that's so excited, and it just gives you that excitement again.
Yeah, I think we've all had those days.
Yeah.
Like, why am I in this industry?
Yeah.
I think this year more than ever, I had those days. Like with insurance, we're dealing with so many things with the fires and stuff, that I had so many of the same stories I was told of people just losing their houses, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself, why, this is so sad. This is like the hardest thing I've ever had to like listen to. And then you go back and you're like, well, that's why you do it, is because you've just protected their biggest asset, and now they can move forward with their life, right? So I had a lot of those days this year. I'd go home to my husband. I'm like, I can't do it anymore. This is too hard. But, you persevere through it, and it always ends up working out, right?
Right.
Well, let's talk a little bit about kind of current market, what's going on. I know it changes. It feels like daily. I swear, I feel like a few weeks ago, people were like, the sky is falling. And now we're like, it's fine. Everything's good. So give us like a little recap what 2021 brought, and like what you think it's going to look like in 2022.
Well, I mean, like you said, the market does change daily, and sometimes 3 to 4 times a day we get midday price changes. So it's tough to catch up. You quote somebody a rate at 8 o'clock, and by 10 it's been changed, and then again at 1, and then another time at 3. So
I didn't realize it changes.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. So if somebody doesn't call you back and say, yes, we do want to lock in, then, well, sorry. Yeah.
Oh gosh,
yeah.
That's hard.
So it is really tough, and it has had different ups and downs, and just keeping up with the COVID has been a big thing this in the last 2 years, as far as, oh my goodness, this new variant came out, oh, the market's going to react to that, and so that's been a big thing. Also with the inflation, with things happening, so the Federal Reserve is probably going to be raising some their Fed funds rate, which is not our interest rates, it's a different correlation on there, but they're probably going to be raising that a couple times next year, which they haven't done in a couple of years. So we'll definitely have some market fluctuations dealing with that.
Does that usually cause rates to go up, or does it?
Sometimes. And sometimes it's, where it's been built into the market over, a month time period where when it actually does happen, the rates actually go down. So, I mean, it's you never know how the market is going to react to anything out there. And so, I mean, there's predictions out there, the rates are going to be up, near 4. That might be. But then something might happen in the market overseas that might bring it back down the other way. So there really is no, I mean, if I knew, I'd, have my little magic ball here and I'd be a millionaire.
Here it is. Yeah, and you would know. You tell everybody, listen up. This is what we need to do.
Exactly. So, I mean, we just kind of have to listen to the people that are, that study this a lot more than I do and go, okay, might be happening, and you just check daily.
Yeah, check every day. I did not realize it was like multiple times a day things.
Right.
I know I've heard, like, I remember I was in a meeting one time and this guy checks his phone. He was like, oh no, I gotta go. Be right back. And he had called a client or two maybe, and he said, hey, you guys got to lock or whatever. Something had happened, and they're like alerting him to lock. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But I did not realize it was like every couple hours.
Yeah.
Hey, this is going on.
We had an alert to lock already this morning. So,
gosh. And he like, it was funny. I don't remember what it was, but he like said, he's like, this is what caused that. And I'm like, that? It was like, actually, I think it was something somebody said.
Right.
And I was like, that would cause it? He's like, yeah, that's how crazy it is. And I think watching, COVID kind of play out these last 2 years has taught me a lot. I'm like looking like, wow, I did not realize these types of things affected our market so heavily.
Right.
It's crazy. So if you had a magic 8 ball, what would you predict next year to be? Like, good year? Is it gonna like be all over the place, or you just kind of?
Well, I mean, the last couple of years, like you did say, with the refinances, we've all had a lot of extra income coming in and a lot of extra loans. I think that's going to definitely die down next year. We're not going to see half as many refinances, but we just have to pick it up with the purchases, because I think the purchase market's still going to be hot. So I think that's going to, the rates will go, probably tick up a little bit, but they're still great.
Yeah. I think I remember like 3 or 4 years ago, rates were like mid-4s, I want to say. And this guy stood up at the meeting I was at, and he did a lender report, and he said, they will not go any lower. Mark my word. And like, I actually don't think I've seen him since then, but I kind of want to give him crap because it just like kept going. Yeah. So that's what I always tell people in this. It's like, you don't have to give a real prediction because nobody really knows. But I think that's general consensus. What I hear all across the board is like, things will maybe go up a little, but don't freak out, type of thing.
Exactly.
Now it's December, or when December, January. Are you still seeing? Because I know the last probably 7-8 months, multiple offers on homes, just insane still.
Mm-hmm. It's still happening out there. I have this one poor little borrower that she's probably made 15 offers in the last 2 months.
Oh my gosh.
And just last night we heard that she lost out on another one, and it's different things, and it's but a lot of it is just educating the buyers, because we lost out on this one. We had the same sales price, but we didn't remove our appraisal contingency, and the other person did.
One thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, so like, what do you tell somebody in that position? Just keep on, keep on?
Either that, or they're gonna have to, maybe put like, I will pay, if it doesn't come in, I will pay a certain amount above it, just to kind of have a buffer.
Yeah.
But, they just have to start making different decisions when they're writing their purchase contract. But it is crazy out there right now.
Okay, so that's interesting, because I keep up just by looking on social media and like what people post, and like, oh, it's the slowdown right now. And so it's interesting that you're saying, nope, there's still all those offers being made, and people still not getting their offers accepted. So fingers crossed, maybe next year brings a little more accepting of offers, more homes on the market, I guess I should say. I will say right now, like looking at just like where I live, I told you I'm weird, and every day, even though I'm not moving, I'm like, let's see what's in our area. There's nothing. There's been the same 15 homes on the market for the last like 6 months. I'm like, okay, so those aren't selling for a reason. Like, let's get some more.
Exactly. If they're on the market for a little while, there's definitely something
is not right.
Yeah, exactly. But I talked to a realtor yesterday, and she's got four 4 new houses coming on in the next couple of weeks.
Good. So maybe this like little holiday slow-ish we saw is over and people are now like, okay, it's going to be January. Let's get going. We were ready to move.
Right.
Which is what we were talking about. You're like, actually, oddly enough, my phone has rang 3 times in the last couple hours.
Right.
So fingers crossed. I mean, if we had the magic 8 ball, we'd all be rich, but of course we don't. Well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. I love listening to, your insight, and you've been in this for such a long time. So it's kind of cool to get a perspective of, people who've been in it for a couple years, people who've been in it for a long time. It's interesting to kind of see everybody, even though you have different experience, it kind of says the same thing, which is pretty cool about what's going to happen, what's happening and stuff. What's the best way for people to get a hold of you? I know you're pretty big on social media, but is there any other way that's like the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Just call or text.
What's the best phone number to reach you?
916-207-7050.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on. You are a delight, and really appreciate your insight. It was awesome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
Have a great Christmas.
Yes, you too. Thank everybody who's listening.